The United Nations has revealed shocking new figures from Syria's civil war. It says 5,000 people are being killed every month. The UN says the conflict has created the worst refugee crisis since the 1994 Rwandan genocide. Syrians are fleeing the country at an average rate of 6,000 per day. Nearly 1.8 million refugees are now registered with the UN in countries around the region.
UN Aid Chief Valerie Amos says nearly 7 million Syrians need urgent help. Ivan Simonovic is the UN Assistant Secretary General for Human Rights, and he says growing religious intolerance is fueling the violence.
The great problem with the situation is that we have escalation of sectarianism. And our data speak about it. We have cases of sectarian massacres, and we have escalation of the hate speech. In the sermons in mosques, on web pages, even in TV shows, not only in Syria but in the neighboring country, we are hearing the hate speech. The escalation of sectarian violence would be extremely dangerous and would surely include spillovers. So at the moment, the most important is to prevent sectarian violence from further escalating.
A government crackdown on pro-democracy protests spiralled into civil war more than 2 years ago. The United Nations estimates that 5,000 people have been killed in Syria every month since the start of the conflict. Calling the impact of the refugee crisis as crushing, the UNHCR urged international action to support the stability of Syria's neighbours, as the risk of spillover to the wider Middle East is mounting.
Potential dangers are unfortunately now turning into actual realities. Increasing cross-border fire and incursions from Syria into Lebanon are threatening the security and stability of my country.
The Syrian government claims to be doing everything possible to shoulder its responsibility towards its people, but the situation is clearly worsening, with close to 7 million Syrians needing urgent humanitarian assistance and 4 million no longer meeting their basic food needs.
We have not seen a refugee outflow escalate at such a frightening rate since the Rwandan genocide almost 20 years ago. The people of Syria continue to suffer tremendously, a suffering that is now further aggravated by the hot summer temperatures and particularly distressing during these holy months of Ramadan. Syria's neighbours have allowed huge numbers of refugees to find safety on their soil, saving hundreds of thousands of lives. But their generosity comes at an increasingly heavy price.
Nearly 2 million Syrians have fled to Turkey, Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt and Iraq.